Hey guys, welcome back to the Path to Medicine. So right now it is October, and this is kind of around peak interview season for students applying to medical school. So I wanted to take the time to make a video about 5 tips for medical school interviews because I think it would be really relevant. I feel like people probably know most of these things, but I still think that it's important to say them and reinforce them so that you're consciously thinking about them when you go out on your interview. Obviously people are going to be nervous. They're going to have a lot of thoughts on their mind and that kind of thing. But it's really important to keep these tips in mind as you're on the interview trail. So that's why I wanted to make this video. So let's go ahead and get started. The first tip is going to be nice to everyone. And like I said, this is probably something that a lot of people are obviously thinking, but really you need to be nice to everyone. And when I mean everyone, I mean the application committee. If you run into any faculty on the way to the interview, the janitors, the people in the cafeteria, literally everybody. Because all of these people, believe it or not, do play a role in the application process. If you are having a bad morning or something and then you snap at someone on the way to the interview, that person could easily go to the medical school admission committee and tell them what happened and tell them that it was one of the medical school applicants, and that could be the determining factor that maybe hurts your chances. So the moment that you step onto that campus, you want to be nice to everyone. I've actually heard some medical schools will put actors kind of in the way, in your path as you're getting to where you need to go on interview day just to see what you'll do. One medical school, and I won't name which school, but one medical school I heard would put a pregnant woman with a stroller and several boxes, and she was trying to open a door, and it was kind of right in your path as you're going to your interview, and they wanted to see what you did. Do you take a little bit of time and open the door for her and make sure that she's okay, or do you just rush in because you're so focused on the interview? So, like I said, as soon as you get onto that campus for the interview, best behavior, be nice to everyone, be cognizant of everything going on around you, because really the truth is that everyone's eyes are on you, not just the person doing the interview. So be nice to everyone. The next tip is going to be to do your research. Now, this is a really important one, and I think some students don't do this as much as they probably should. But if you know that you have an interview coming up at a certain school, go on their website. Take a look at the things that they have on there. Take a look at their mission statement or their goals or their objectives. Take a look at their curriculum. Take a look at statistics, residency placement, USMLE scores, whatever they have, and make sure that you're well informed about what is going on at this school. It'll help you in your decision process, and then also it'll help you during your interview. If you throw something in, say for example, a school is really high on community service, that's something that's really important to them. And on your interview, when you're asked a question, you start talking about how you appreciate community service, and that's one of the pillars of this medical school. That makes you look really good. That makes you look informed. You did your research, you know what you're talking about, and you're actually interested in what this school has to offer, not just the fact that it's a medical school. So you want to do your research, be informed about those kinds of things. If medical schools have specific programs or specific classes that are interesting that you think might be relevant, then you want to bring that stuff up as well, because it makes you seem more informed about the situation, not just the fact that it's some medical school, but specific features that they have that are enticing to you. So do your research on that medical school before interview day. The next tip that I have is going to be to prepare an elevator speech. And this is something that somebody told me a couple of years ago. And basically what it is an elevator speech is kind of a short spiel about yourself that you can get out kind of in the length of an elevator ride. So you want to be able to spit that out almost immediately. I mean, in a lot of medical school interviews, one of the first questions that they ask you, of course, is tell me about yourself. And some people, it's a simple question, right? But some people kind of get tripped up about it because there's so much to say and you're not sure what exactly to cover. So if you practice an elevator speech, my name is so-and-so, I'm from here, I like to do this, these are my passions, these are what led me here today. If you practice saying all of those things, by the time interview day comes around and they ask you that question, it's going to be almost automatic. So you'll be able to just regurgitate that, and it'll seem really professional, and at the same time it'll calm you down because it's one question that is probably coming that you can get out of the way and prepare for immediately. One important thing to note with this is, obviously you want to practice it and practice the elevator speech and what you're going to say. when you actually deliver it, remember that it's a question, so you don't want to sound robotic. You still want to sound calm, relaxed and comfortable about it, as opposed to just spitting it out as fast as you can and trying to get every word right. So definitely something to practice to be able to introduce yourself, really just a life skill in general, right? You're going to be introducing yourself to other colleagues, patients, a ton of different people. So having a short little elevator speech prepared is something that's really helpful. The next tip is going to be practice, practice, practice. And, like I said, this is probably something that a lot of students think about, that a lot of students do, but you really want to take the time to make sure that you're getting everything right. For me, in my opinion, a medical school interview and interviews in general are so important that you want to do everything that you can to make sure that you have the best shot, to make sure that you're doing everything right. So you want to practice with friends, you want to practice in the mirror, you want to practice while you're being recorded so you can see if you're saying certain words a lot, if you're saying a lot, if you have a little tick, if you're, tapping your foot on the ground when you're answering questions. All of those little things you kind of want to take a look at and try to fix, because it's really going to help. And I mean, again, these are things that people aren't really consciously thinking about. You might not know that you're doing it, and everybody has these, myself included. But if you have the opportunity to practice it, to take a look and see what kinds of things you can improve upon, then you might as well take it. And another thing that goes along with that is kind of anticipating responses to questions. So just like someone saying, tell me about yourself, other questions would be something like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Tell me when you faced adversity in life before. There are a lot of kind of common medical school interview questions that admission committees ask. So kind of be prepared, at least for those questions. And there's a lot of forums online that people usually look at to kind of get a feel for what the interview is like. So I would definitely recommend at least having a bit of a semblance of what to say for some of those kind of common questions that are asked in interviews. And, when the time interview day actually comes around, if you've practiced, it's going to be a piece of cake. You're going to feel comfortable, you're going to feel relaxed. And that's really the most important thing you're trying to get across, because they're not inviting you for an interview to look at a resume again. They don't want to see a walking resume. They want to see the actual person who applied to medical school and wants to become a physician. So if you've practiced, if you're calm and collected, and you're kind of able to get your actual personality across, that's going to look a lot better than a person who's nervous, who doesn't really know how to answer certain questions, who's stiff. So practice is 100% key. And the last thing that I think a lot of students actually kind of fail to do is be sure to ask questions at the end. They'll almost always ask, do you have any questions for us at the end? And if they don't, then, ask if it's all right for you to ask a question. And the reason for this is because you want to be engaging. In medical school interviews a lot, it kind of comes across like an interrogation. They're just asking you questions about this experience or that grade or that kind of thing. But really, in reality, it should be more of a conversation. It should be two-sided. So you do have a right to ask questions during these interviews, and I think you should take it. And one tip for me, one thing that I really like to do is asking the interviewers, kind of tell me about your story. Tell me what path you took and how you ended up here at this school or in your certain profession. And that accomplishes two things. First of all, it gives you more information about the school. It gives you more information about what an actual professor or faculty at that school, what interested them that brought them to that school. That's the first thing. So it kind of gives you more of an idea about some of the positives of that school. And the second thing is people love talking about themselves. So it's the truth. People will love to give you a little bit of information about where they came from, the kinds of things they did. So it kind of leaves the interview on a positive note that they were able to share some of that with you. And in reality, it benefits both parties. You're more informed about the school and they feel comfortable and they're glad to see that you're asking a question at the end of the interview. So that's pretty much the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed. And I know medical school interviews can be difficult. They can be daunting. There's a lot of traveling. There's a lot of practice and pressure and preparation. But just like I said before, the most important thing on interview day is to just be yourself, be calm and collected and be kind. And as long as you get across your actual personality, your actual interests in medicine and other hobbies too, because they don't just ask about medicine and medical school and all of that. As long as you get across your true self, that's going to resonate really well with the interview committee, and it'll increase your chances for getting into medical school. So like I said, this is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like, subscribe to my channel, share this video. Like always, if you have any suggestions for what I can do better, please let me know. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon.